What's up, y'all? Happy Monday! Welcome
Hey.
back. Welcome back to Chill to Action on the Call to Action Network. Hanging out, you know me, it's your girl, Danny Joy, right here with my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio.
Favorite co-host. You say it every week. I don't know. Do you really mean it? Do you really mean your favorite?
Yes.
Okay. I'll believe it. I'll choose to believe it either way. It's me. It's BLD. What's going on? Happy to be here. Happy to get this one. This is one that's been a long time in the works. It's finally here.
That is right. We have definitely been anticipating this episode for a very long time, almost since the inception of Chill. It is the one, the only, your favorite, Mr. Eric Rodriguez, a.k.a. Nerd Chronic.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on, man. I mean, we've been talking about, like we did with the inception of Chill. We were talking initially about we're going to have the Schmoedown pros on and all the competitors and everything else. But we want to also get down and dirty, get behind the scenes. Who else brings the Schmoedown to life? And let's face it, down behind the scenes, there's only one person that was at the top of our list. It's Nerd Chronic, because their promos are the things of legend. They add so much to the Schmoedown that I'm not want to just like blow smoke up your ass, but they add so much to the Schmoedown that is I can't imagine the Schmoedown without your work.
Eric, I cannot tell you how many times you have made me cry in the past years that you've been hanging out. Yes, absolutely. You're the award 2020.
Thank you, Jillian.
Yes, Eric, thank you so much for hanging out with us on this Monday.
Yeah, happy to be here. Like we were saying before, what is a Monday anymore, really? It's Mondays are just one more day in the work week for me.
I only know it's Monday because of Chill.
Yeah.
That's very true. I tell you every day. It's only chilled action. It's chilled action day. That's got to be a Monday. It's the only reason.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We know that you are in the chat every once in a while with the show, so you're familiar with it. Right. And as usual, we always like to ask our guests the same question: why Schmoedown? How did you get involved with the Schmoedown?
So yeah, I've been I've told the story, I think, in a couple different places, like in some extent, some form or another, but I wanted to specifically say on here, because I kind of told some of you, I think, in person when we met, and then I wanted to kind of explain it on camera, like on record, finally, which was that I started in 2018, actually 2017, I started a podcast with some friends of mine, and that developed into the brand of Nerd Chronic. And so it was just a podcast. We were just doing it for fun. Like, we weren't really looking for like any attention or any acclaim. We just did it just to have something to do between the four of us. And then that developed into something that became kind of my own, because the other guys, we couldn't meet as frequently, so they started to drift away. We're still friends. They just live on like the complete opposite side of LA, which is like a 2-hour drive in certain days. And so it's hard to kind of commute for the podcast for that as frequently as we wanted to. But I took on the brand going into 2018. And then in March of 2018, I was just kind of at like a unique crossroads in my life where I just really wanted to just do more like creatively. It was like one of those moments in your life where you just think like, I feel like I really need to just do something else. Like, I need to like fulfill my life and my sense of being in some more creative fashion. And that coincidentally was around the same time they were introducing or announcing the first Schmoedown Live event in March 2018. And so on a whim, just with that in mind, I bought a VIP ticket to go to the first live event. I sat down in the front row, or second front row, with the other VIPs, and it was my first live Schmoedown event. It was also like kind of my first event like integrated with Schmoedown, because I was a casual fan of it through Late to the Party and some of the handful of matches I've seen before. Okay. But this was like my first thing going as like a thing, like a fan going out of my way to experience it. And I had like an amazing time, and that was when the VIP tickets were a little more loosey-goosey. So afterwards, like, it wasn't just like you get to take a picture, you walk off. It was like we all kind of like just mingled around the stage for like half an hour, like talking with like the competitors and like hanging out. It's kind of like the Fan Expo, what it was at Spectacular, but it was like that, which it was just unplanned though. It's like they didn't really know what to do. So it was a really great experience. And that's actually where I met Dwayne for the first time. I'm very Dwayne.
Someone say video, Drew?
What's going on, girl?
I'm in the middle of my story.
That's the
That's a good cameo right there.
And I'll get into that in a little bit too. But no, it's actually where I met Dwayne that night. He was in the row in front of me, and we talked a bit just amongst like ourselves, and we got to know each other a little bit. And it was funny because the next day after that, I randomly got an invite to a press screening for Ready Player One in Beverly Hills. And so I went there, and coincidentally, Dwayne was there as well. So we met each other again the following day, and we remembered each other. So we started talking again a little more. And actually, in that same night, I also met Janine and our buddy Raul Rodriguez. And I ran into Janine, and I recognized her. I somewhat recognized her, and then we exchanged information for like the purpose of social media integrating and like networking. And I got her Instagram handle, and I saw her name was Janine, and I was like, "Oh, you're Janine the Machine." And she's like, "Yeah, like that's me." I was like, "Oh, I was at the Schmoedown event last night." She's like, "Oh, that's really great." So we started talking and like chatting a bit, and we kind of kept in contact a little bit from there. And I found out shortly later that she lives in the same hometown as me, or in the same area in kind of Central California, in Fresno. And I really liked her from there because like she was just someone that I admired from the show. Also, like she kind of had like a hometown feel for me when we talked, and it was like she was a really sweet person. And so the following months, I went to the 2 more live events that we did that year, and each live event that I went to, I would make a fan-made promo video of the event. I would just shoot it on my phone, like from the crowd. I would shoot footage of like the entrances and like the wins, and, like the big moments, and I would go home and put it on my computer and like start editing with clips from previous matches. And every time I would do it, Christian would retweet my stuff and say like he really loved it. And so I was like, "Oh, great." So he messaged me the second and third time asking if I could send it to them directly so they could post it. And I was like, "Yeah, of course." So like that's when I sent it to them, and I was like, he, I guess, kind of kept tabs me through that. And in October, I think it was around Halloween, Janine had a art exhibit in Fresno, and she was selling her Pennywise painting that she had made.
I've seen that one. Yes.
Yeah, and so I went there. I happened to be in town that weekend, so I went there. It's a little like 45 minutes north of where I live, but I went there to go, see her, support her, and I actually ended up buying the piece of art as a gift for someone. And I couldn't grab it the next day when were going to sell it or give it out to people who bought the paintings. So I left, had to go back to LA, and I messaged her online. I said, "Hey, I bought the painting, but I didn't have a chance to grab it. Could you possibly bring it the next time you're in LA? Because we were thinking about going to Halloween Horror Nights. We're late to the party that year." Right. And I was like, "I'll grab it from you there." And she messaged me back. She was like, "Hey, well, actually, I'm going to be filming a match next week. And do you want to come to the studio and watch? And I'll give it to you there." And I was like, "Absolutely, yeah, I'd love to." So that was my first in to get into the actual studio. And I would, anyone will tell you this, they have the same experience when you get to the studio for the first time, like just not as a fan or like a Patreon thing, just getting in there as an invite. And it's weird because like they treat you like family right away, like they really do. And so when you walk in, you feel like you're allowed to be there, but you also feel like you're not supposed to be there because no one's acknowledging you, because you're just like, "Oh, hey," and like Mark Ellis walks by, and you're like, at first you're just like, "Oh my god, that's Mark Ellis," but he's like, "Oh, hey man, like what's up?" And he's like being super nice as he always is. I was like trying to blend in as best as I could. I was hanging out with Janine and Raul while they were there, and Christian saw me. So Christian walked in, he came by, and he walked up to me. He's like, "Oh, hey man, it's good to see you again." And so I was like, "Oh, hey, it's good to see you." So he recognized me from the previous various like 5-second moments that we had met at the earlier events and other places. And he asked me, he says, "Hey, when you get a chance, can I talk to you about something?" And I was like, "Yeah." So shortly after that, we went to his office, and we sat down, and he asked me, he says, "Hey, so I really love what you're doing with the promos. Would you be interested in potentially doing it full time for us next season, which would be season 6? And I was like, "Of course, like hell yeah." And so he said, "Keep doing what you're doing for now." That was in October, so we had about 2 more months left of filming. And he's said, "Give me what you can for the matches that we have coming up. And at the start of season 6, we'll get you in here to start doing all the promos like from then on." And so I did a promo for the singles tournament that year, and a promo for Bibiani versus Roca for the title shot. And then my first go around, like the first like real test I had that year at the end of the year was this Spectacular 3 promos. I did all the promos for all 6 matches that year, and it was huge. It was like a rigorous like endurance test, like and that was when I didn't have my style down, and like I had like kind of notes from Christian how to like structure it, so they were all like 6 minutes each, and so they were super long. But it was like a really unique experience trying to get in there and like really sink my teeth into how the show can be structured from an entertainment standpoint for like these short form narrative things. And then season 6 in January 2019, that's when I started officially, and then I was part of the Schmoedown.
That's nuts.
And then you got the Bobby Gucci seal of approval. That means a lot. That definitely means a lot.
Yeah, I love walking by, and just every time if I don't even know if Dagino's there, I just hear him go, Nerd Chronic.
He's always working somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Bobby Gucci is always around.
You mentioned that. You mentioned about Christian and giving you notes. Does Christian give you notes now? Like, has that ever slowed? Does he like just leave it to you now more? Or is he just as big into it as ever?
Very quickly, he didn't give me many notes. So like Spectacular was the one, because that was when he had like a specific vision of how he wanted like the narratives to play out for like all the matches, and like kind of had the interwove with some of them because people were playing twice and over and stuff like that. And so he had like a breakdown of like the beats he wanted to hit. And having that, I have like a pretty good recollection of the entire show, like history of the show now, like who did what, where they came from, what they did, what they said. And so he rarely ever gives me notes unless he has like a specific upcoming story point that needs to be kind of emphasized for certain things. Like when Shannon was going to be announced as manager, I knew that was coming. And so he messaged me shortly before Spectacular saying like, hey, make sure you include the moment in the Inner Geekdom San Diego match when Mike and Shannon came out together and like he kissed her. I was like, it's already in there. So I was like, already way ahead of you. So like he's like perfect. Yeah, there's only ever times where like, yeah, I might not be aware of something like that, and like he might say like, hey, make sure this is in there, just so like we built it up the proper way. But for the most part, he has left me alone with the work, and he trusts me a lot, which I do appreciate like a great deal. And when I think it was the first time we met, like after we discussed like the promos and what he kind of wanted, he asked me like, do you know wrestling? I was like, yeah, I do. So he said, do you know the Stone Cold versus The Rock WrestleMania promo? I was like, absolutely, like like that. Like, yeah, Paul, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I watched. Yeah,
I know like this much about your time.
Yeah, and that was like that promo in itself was a huge inspiration for like the kind of way I do style my edits and like kind of the like kineticism around it and like the momentum, and like I think that was inspiration to me when I was growing up watching edits and video packages like that. And so I think we did click right away. I think that's what he does. Like, I think why he does appreciate my work is because I kind of did get his vision right away for what the show needed.
That's amazing. Eric, how long have you been editing? Like, how long have you been doing content like this, or just editing videos the way that you're doing for the Schmoedown now?
I've been editing as I have been and now for about 15 years now. Nice. I started in like early high school, and but when I was a kid though, when I was a kid, I would my dad had like those big, camcorders from like the 80s, with the whole VHS in it, and so I would use that. I would go home after school and I would shoot like with like my little toys, like stories, and I would edit in the camera. So I would like shoot with the camera, hit stop, change the scene around, change the shot, hit record again, get the shot with the thing, hit stop, and do on. I would edit just by cutting the camera. And so I was editing in my mind, and I think that actually helped me because that's actually how I edit when we shoot. Yeah.
Fair enough, Alex. Fair enough.
Yeah. When we shoot stuff, I'm able to kind of see the edit in my head as we're doing it, so I know I can remember. Okay, there's a moment in here where we need to cut because like they said they did a retake. This thing is kind of going on a little bit too long. I'll shave that up when I get to it. So I'm able to kind of keep in mind like beats that I know I had to hit when I get into the editing bay to actually put it together. But then in high school, I actually got my hands on editing software for a video class that I took. Which was just for like kind of general video editing, and that's when I fell in love with it for sure because I loved piecing it together. I would be in there like a huge nerd during lunch, like just editing stuff for projects, like for fun and everything. And the following year, my second year in that class, I was actually like teaching half the students how to edit because I was like the teacher like me enough, he would just let me kind of like handle it, like teaching the other half of the students that he couldn't get to in time. Yeah, it was like I just fell in love with it very quickly. So I went to college for it, and I learned multimedia and editing for my degree.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
JP, who is a great
Yeah,
designer himself, love that. Absolute monster, and it's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
No, it genuinely has. Watching the Schmoedown go from the early stages into what it is now, I truly believe that these promos have really elevated the performance factor of it, and it's really great to see you so involved with it, and to see so many people appreciate what you're doing with it. Did that ever take you by surprise? Like the love that you've gotten from this community, the love that you've received from every single person inside of this community?
Yeah, I think I did, because like you know, it is, as an editor, like the kind of crux of editing or good editing is that you never really notice good editing. You only really notice bad editing. That's kind of like the crux of, like, for feature films and television, like you never really compliment like how well this is edited. At least general audiences don't. And so when I got involved with this, it was like a kind of surreal experience seeing early on when people would call out the edits and like the promos and stuff, and how much it improved their experience of the show. I think it was in the start of 2019 when I started doing the promos. Christian had the idea of integrating the the promo packages, the trash talking segments with the like story segments, so it's like one cohesive thing. And I think kind of built that off of the fact that I did that in the spectacular promos, because I did that first there with the talking heads that we had, and then I think we moved into doing that full time in 2019 for season 6. And I saw in the comments right away that people were saying like it feels much better, it moves the show along like a lot quicker, and it's just like it's such a much more entertaining like piece to just watch that kind of all come together like as one thing. And so like that was like really fantastic to feel for me, coming from as an editor who has done projects before where you're kind of just blending into the background, you're not being like really called out for your work. It is really nice to be part of something where people acknowledge that there's something kind of going into the work that has something here for what I do for the show. And I think Drew always likes to point out that it is very rare when you see a piece of entertainment where people constantly acknowledge like the editor as like someone that they appreciate for like how much they're enjoying the show.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, Drew. We won't forget. We know. We're definitely.
No,
definitely
right there in the side of my mind, like I'm pretending she's actually like in my room. So
presence is set. I don't throw these questions up too much on the chat initially, but Peggy had a question that relates to a question that I was thinking in my head, and she wants to know. She asked if you sit there mentally time-stamping moments while watching the matches in studio or live. And my follow-up and related question to that would be, as a fan of the Schmoedown now, has being editing like and having to do that kind of fashion, does that ruin your enjoyment of the matches anymore as much? Or can you watch them and still enjoy them as much? Or is it all I gotta make sure I put that in there. I gotta make sure I gotta put that in,
Yeah, so it's kind of like what I mentioned before, which is I am able to kind of cut in my head as we're taping. So as we're taping, if there's a challenge, I know like, okay, I mentally check in my mind, there's a challenge here, make sure to put the graphic in, make sure it's the right graphic. If there's like, a cut here because I have to do a retake, make sure like I don't miss that. If there's something that they mess up as far as like continuity, like make sure like I don't put that in, as far as like if they spoil something from like a match that didn't air yet, because sometimes we shoot out of order. So yeah, I'm able to kind of keep tabs on what I do in my head when I see it. And like there is a lot going on for the matches, to the point where I when I started, I was able to just go and sit down like everyone else and watch the matches and enjoy myself. But now I am part of the crew. I'm part of like the show. I have to kind of like run around and do like a handful of different tasks as they're taping. So I can't enjoy it as much when we're taping, but I do love seeing it when I'm editing it. I get to edit it. I get to rewatch it 3 times over for my passes to do. And so like I do know the show very well once that match is finally cut and ready to air.
Perfect. Another question I will throw because I want to make Bobby Gucci has a question for you. That makes sense. How do you decide what to cut when you're editing his promos? Because obviously there's so much gold you're leaving. And do you ever keep the outtakes? We ever get any outtakes from Bobby Gucci's intelligent ramblings?
There's a lot that I had to cut from Gucci and Kaiser and Paul Preston and a lot of people who have like great material, but it just, and Knapsack, but it just for the package itself, it just doesn't fit sometimes. The music like in the pacing from like the other competitors, it doesn't like quite match. So it's all about like the narrative and kind of like the entertainment value of it. I kind of let that drive what gets left in there, but everything is gold. Like really, these guys are super funny, and like it hurts me to like cut out like some of their best bits. There was a whole bit, I guess I could say this in the Odd Couple versus Who's the Boss promo. There's a whole bit where Bobby Gucci was talking on a shoe phone. that didn't make the cut. It was hilarious, but it didn't like match with like the kind of like tone that the Odd Couple was bringing in, and like the kind of way Bateman and Riley kind of came at him again. So like it didn't like fit just right, and so like I really wanted to keep it in, but it didn't work for what I was feeling with the promo. But yeah, that happens a lot. There's a lot of outtakes that get cut out of like the material that they write, and it does suck. And I feel bad for Kaiser because he's so proud of that material.
So what are you saying? We got to talk to Christian maybe and maybe petition some kind of Patreon tier special like outtake package or something at some point or another.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Honestly,
I would be totally happy paying for that. Like I would love to have that, even if it's just like an end of the year special where a lot of the cutting room floor stuff is put together. I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a lot of fun to watch for sure.
I would love to have that put out for sure.
Yes. Go, Paul.
No, it's all you. All you. Go ahead.
So, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Go, Paul.
Well, I was going to say we do have a lot of questions already in the chat. We do a lot of big questions at the end also, but we do have Streamlabs coming in. We want to pop in as we get them here and there. So streamlabs.com / call to action podcast if you want to get them ready. Before that, Joe, Jake does. Yes, I want to put that out there too. Yeah. We noticed that you're wearing a C2A shirt, and we definitely salute that. Pimp our merch out so you can get that as well.
We also have Chill to Action shirts, also, y'all.
You do have Chill to Action shirts. There are out there. Let's see. Brandon Buck donated $3 and said the ultimate question for all editors: Final Cut or Adobe Creative Suite, and why?
I love that question.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a great answer.
Yeah, it's I personally use Adobe. So I personally use Adobe Creative Suite because I learned I first learned on iMovie, when I was younger. Like that was like kind of like a basic editing software to learn when you're learning how to do edits. And then when I went to college, I learned Final Cut and also learned Avid Media Composer. And I was stuck on Avid for a little while because that was the industry standard. That's what we used for classes. And then when I got out of college, I had a job that required me to learn Adobe. And so I learned that, and then I just felt more comfortable in that since then, because for my purposes, I just am like a very fast editor. So I am able to cut in there much faster than I am in Media Composer, but I'm also able to do a lot more in there that I feel then in Final Cut, especially as far as like export and like kind of like render like options, stuff like that. And I think it all kind of like fits around what you feel is best for you. And the Final Cut is the industry standard. It's a very stable platform, but Adobe for me has made leaps and bounds like over the last several years. I think that fit my purposes like really well. So I really do love Adobe Premiere for my edits.
Okay, you don't need me back.
Hi, Drew. Type in the chat.
Hey, Drew.
She's around. She's always
love
around.
The video, Drew.
No, I do love Adobe Premiere. That's what I would suggest to a lot of people, especially since like the Creative Cloud platform that they have like is really it's affordable, and it also is very intuitive, and I think it's a great gateway into like kind of more professional editing for most people. Media Composer, again, it's the standard. Definitely learn it if you can, but it is like a very not monotonous. It is a very tenuous and tumultuous program to learn, and so there's a lot that goes into it. So Adobe Premiere is, I think, a good entry level professional editing system to get into.
Man, I feel like I'm struggling on iMovie, so I'm gonna hit you up with some questions.
Sure, yeah.
I love that myself too.
Yeah. So we do have another question from Streamlabs from the one, the only Miss Alex Shawshek, donated $5 in the Streamlabs, and this is a great question for me to ask you because absolutely I need to know this. what is it like to know that you've made so many Schmoedown fans cry? Your promos and the edits that you do for it are cut so well, like especially those promos. This is a good segue for that. Like there was one promo that you did, and I can't remember exactly where you started it, but it was like for like a tournament match. It started off, everything was in black and white, and then when a team would win, you would put them in color and put the losers in black and white. And I loved that edit. So absolutely, how do you feel knowing that you've made so many Schmoedown fans cry?
It feels good. It feels good. It feels good bringing those tears. I mean, yeah, that's what it is. I think I don't think I did anything as far as my promos go. I don't think I did anything that would induce tears until we got to like probably the Shire Wolves like match. I think because everything I was really proud of like a lot of the work I did before that, but nothing had like the kind of emotional weight of like that moment. Or like I think maybe before that was like Rachel's match in San Diego.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like that one did too. Because I think the two I did before that, which was the Houston match and then the Collision matches as well. Those are big. I'm really proud of those, which we might talk about in a little bit. But like yeah, having matches that do make people cry and feel like a ton of emotion, it's very special, and that's why I do love the like reactions that you guys do and everyone else does, because it's like a time capsule for those moments. And I do go back and rewatch my promos for those things. I go back and rewatch the reactions as well, like occasionally, to gauge one, the responses, but also two, like kind of like where like my edit and my creativity in it, I kind of hit better than certain points. Like I do watch like the structure, like the response time between you guys and how you see. Like I do watch, when you watch reactions, I watch your guys' eyes to watch like how the eye movement is tracked into the promos, like for imaging, and where like the edit takes your eye from one moment to the next, because that's how I gauge like how I can move around the edits, so I make sure that you guys are looking at the right thing at the right time.
Man, that makes me feel like reactions are so much more important now than I've ever imagined them to be before.
Are you part Android? You have like this, like you just.
I know.
Your eyes go. I like that.
Yeah. But I do. I just want to say, yeah, I do love though the seeing those reactions from like the Shire Wolves retirement match, because like I get to see a handful of people cry. I saw Albert cry and the City Fanatics tear up, and everyone, like it's all there, stuck in time. Albert even was like, "God damn it, this is like forever on the internet. I can't get rid of this."
Another good, Alex. Let's say the Smith versus Kalinowski promo made her cry and made Lucas a fan of the Schmoedown. You are responsible for Lucas being a fan of the Schmoedown because of that promo.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. That's what she says. Yeah, and I'm really proud of that one too. Like, even then, like that's again, it's not a totally emotional promo, because like that was their first match, but I am really proud of like the kind of the stakes that I was able to build up between those two for that one.
Yeah.
We will get to more Streamlabs questions in a bit. We're going to have some other quesher we have. I will pop this one because it is there from your friend, Ghai.
Right.
The John Schnepp tribute was an emotional gut punch, and that was a good one.
That's true. That was I think maybe that was the first one. That was the start of 2019 at the awards that year. And so that was like Christian had tasked me with doing a tribute to John Schnepp, which was something I was like really did want to take on, but I know the Collider had made a tribute to him shortly after he passed away in July, and so I didn't want to step on their toes or like kind of replicate what they did. So instead of kind of highlighting his best work, I decided to kind of highlight the thoughts that everyone had of him, like kind of like a farewell to him and for Holly as well, so she would know exactly how much he meant to people, because I know she was there in the audience that night.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy belated birthday, John Schnepp.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. I wanted to ask now, like, all right, so over here, what this is kind of a loaded question, maybe in a way, but what goes into a good promo? What do you want to see? Like when you're looking at the footage, what are you looking for as like this is going to hit, this is not going to hit? What hits it for you?
For my promos or for like just in general?
Well, both actually, both. Maybe general, and then how have you encompassed that into your own promos?
Yeah, because I was talking about this a little bit on SCN when I was talking about doing the trailer talk with them last week. And so for my promo specifically, one, like the music like is the most important part to me. Like the music has to kind of hit the tone and the severity of like what's at stake for the match. I can't put the same music in a Wildberries Real Rejects match that I could in like a Bateman Memorial match. Like it's different. Like they're different stakes, they're different people, and so I always have to make sure that the music has the right like peaks and valleys as to like what drives like the feel of like what's being told through the emotion and like the story. So that's kind of where I base it around. Dwayne was here once. He was like, we're going over like pieces of music that were for like that Bateman Memorial match, and I didn't find it until like the day before that the one I really loved. And I think for me though, having moments in the promo that one drive home or driven home with the music, also to drive home with like the right narration and also the right points of like, what is kind of going on internally with the competitors, because like the competitors are able to say like only able to say so much like what's on their mind, like kind of like what they're feeling as far like what the match is. I need to have that kind of connection between the competitors and the audience, where like the audience is able to kind of interpret what the competitors want out of it without them saying exactly, without them saying like just flat out like I want the belt because it means this and this to me. Like we know why Smets wants the belt. We know it because of his experience in the show. We know it because of like what he had done in the show and where he came from, and all that is built into a 2-minute package. And that's the importance of kind of having it drive home with like what is implied, not just like what's flat out said. And so in that sense, you know, for other promos I see like on TV and trailers, TV spots, stuff like that, I do love work that kind of like works or pieces of work that work better with implications as opposed to like just flat out exposition. I don't like when things are just like thrown at you. I don't like when things are just like kind of like explained away. I do feel like it's flat. I like when things kind of like drive itself more with the emotion, kind of like with more implied stakes as to what is what needs to be told. One trailer that we did cite in the SEN show, which was the Godzilla King of Monsters trailer. I really love the second trailer, I think it was, or the third one with the Somewhere Over the Rainbow rendition that they had. It has like it's a really beautiful theme. It's a really beautiful cover of it. It also has like great flow to it with the music and like the images that are being shown, as far as like, again, eye movement and like movement across the screen with like the way the monsters are moving. It sounds like very funny to say it out loud, but just like, yeah, the way you are able to like kind of mix that action with the beats and the kind of like more melancholy like sound of the music, it all flows very well, and like almost counterintuitive nature that gets you invested in like what you're saying.
I'm here to claim my title now. Like that one line of the song for those promos that you did, and like that whole cut is like cuts of like people holding their belts and stuff like that. Like just the way that I love that so much, because knowing that's how I've always felt, like watching your promos and listening to the music that you put in with those promos, especially like that one specific promo with that song that went into other promos, was so good because it enhanced that emotion overall for what the Schmoedown is. And it really does make this movie trivia that we watch online that much more like a sport, like a true genuine sport that we all are completely invested in. So like it's insane how much emotion and how much you bring to the Schmoedown just for all of us fans in general. So big shout out to that. Was such a fun thing to hear you say.
I do like that promo a lot, like with the song. This year I'm able to find a handful of songs that have like lyrics to them, because like that's something that I was always trying to work towards. The last year that I did everything, like almost none of the promos I did had lyrics. Now I have a library that I found that has like a lot of great songs that have lyrics that added in them. Which is cool, because that's a lot of what you get in the WWE promos. You know, get lyrics kind of like driving the narrative that help a little bit, and it does help me a little bit too. And so I'm happy to, once we do get back on the road, like once we do get into the swing of things, I have a good handful of songs lined up that I really want to use for the promos. Like I have a song already in place for the Corruption versus Founding Fathers promo. Like whenever that happens, like I already have it ready, locked and loaded.
I'm excited already. And I was there. That was one that got me too. When that part capped out, you're saying, "Let's hear this one shakes out." That was so perfect. So Godskell.
And then like the whole draft thing, and then it's like Robert Parker right there, and then it goes into like all of the newbies that are coming in. Like it cuts to Robert Parker, James White, any of the other rookies that are in the Schmoedown. It was so good to see. I'm so like I'm just fangirling right now. I'm so sorry.
What is your favorite? What is your favorite promo you've done this Schmoedown? If you had to pick one of your babies, which is the one?
Yeah, that's hard. And some people ask me that, and it is hard to pick. I honestly do think I enjoy Smets and Kalinowski at Collision the most. I think I do. Like it's up there definitely. I can compare it with the Houston promo, Ghai versus Bateman. I can compare it with Kalinowski and Smets' Spectacular, like the Shire Wolves promo, stuff like that. Like they all have like different merits to them that I do enjoy. But I just think that the Smets and Kalinowski promo I enjoy the most because it was built off of such a natural rivalry that they had built between one another. Like the rivalry that we get in the Schmoedown, they are for the most part pretty natural, but they are kind of driven by Christian's, overall like big picture like thoughts of like what he wants to happen. Not that it's like forced or anything, but just that he has like a way of like kind of directing things in the right direction with like certain people. Whereas Spencer Kalinowski, they built that rivalry off of like one moment in Free for All. When they stepped up on stage together, like that was it. Like that moment, like was the birth of like this crazy story that was going to develop into like a year-long thing. And so I was able to use that as my jumping off point for that match in Collision. And I was happy to kind of like build that between those two and what they were able to do just off of like their sheer investment in the story and in their characters. And so like I was really proud to put that together for that match, for their first match. Like it's kind of an astonishing accomplishment, not to pat myself on the back, but it's just like it's a unique thing to kind of put together such a cohesive and big story promo for these characters that have never played each other before.
That's
Very
cool.
cool.
That's very,
So I know that you talked about meeting Dwayne at one of the first live events that you went to. How long has Dwayne been a part of this, helping you out with filming and stuff like that?
So Dwayne was around when I first got into Schmoedown. Like I said, we had met and then we kept in contact, and I would see him at some of the events. I would see him at all the events, and then at like Ellis's like stand-up shows and stuff like that when we would go out and like just all the Schmoedown adjacent stuff that we enjoyed. And then he I think I invited him. I'm not sure if I was inviting him or maybe it was Janine and Raul that invited him to come to one of the studio tapings as well. And he was there for a little bit just watching with us in the crowd as we were. And then he decided to bring his camera one day because he was going to help get some still shots of people. And so I asked him, because I had this in mind already, he said, "Hey, does that shoot video?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "How can it shoot at a high frame rate?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can shoot at 60, at 30, this and that." And so I was like, "Can you like possibly get the entrances for me for everyone just coming out?" And we did it. I think the first one we did was the three-way match, Intergeekdom match between Chandru, David Moore, and Warfather. That was the first one I think we ever did. And it was like a test run, and it worked out pretty well. So we started doing it from then on, getting into the tournament season of the year. And luckily, I think that's when it kicked off between the two of us because like he had, again, like he's a big WWE fan. So he knows exactly what we're looking for with these kind of slow motion B-roll shots. Like it's like, as opposed to the kind of wide shots that we get with the Schmoedown, just getting the whole room. Like he knows we need like, like tight shots, faces, torsos, like the teams, and like kind of like fill the frame with like the action that we want to see and make it a bit different with the lighting and the colorization of like everything. So we don't just feel like it's another extensive shot of like what we already have. We need to make it look a little bit more cinematic. And luckily that combined with Free For All last year, I shot all the Free For All stuff in LA. So all the shots of everyone walking out in the crowd, like JT with the hands up and Mike walking out with like his arm and stuff. I shot all that, and luckily I was like happy to do that because I knew like this is my vision. This is my vision of what I want for the show and what I know can make the promos look great. Were these slow motion shots, and so I was able to stand in the crowd and get all those shots and kind of kick that off where I wanted for the rest of the year. And I think it luckily paid off because I used that Kalinowski shot like 6 times now, like so many different promos.
Nice, very
perfect. Now I'm going to ask about Spectacular.
Yes.
We were involved in that. How did you? Okay, so I'll set this tone for everybody else who didn't realize that when we all went to Spectacular, Eric invited all the reactors who were going to be there. It was going to be Call to Action, Late Party, the Cinefanatics. We all got to go and watch the family match versus Shazam. And we all watched in his house while he was taping us. So he basically reacted to us reacting. And I want to know, what did you come up with the idea? How quick? How did you think that process? And did it go the way you thought it was going to go?
For the party itself?
Yeah, for the party itself and how everything went down.
Well, so again, I knew what was going to happen in that match because I was there at the taping when it happened. And so
you had to get us there.
So I had to get you guys here. Like I had to get you guys here for sure. Like if you guys weren't going to come, I didn't even know if that party was going to work. So
I mean, we made the party. We brought the White Claw. We made the party.
Yeah. You guys were there with the party. Late to the party was there too. So it was the whole thing. So I mean, late to the party, they always come and stay with me when they come and visit, and they had a tape or whatever. So they always crash at my house, and so they're the kind of first people that I've had that were reactors to the show, and so I thought about it. I thought, like, what if I have them along with like some of the other reactors here? We could like put something together, like a big reactor, crossover event. And look, I was able to get you guys and all like the other channels that came. And like, I'm bummed. I wish I could have got, Abby and like Take 3 and like GTH, the people who were here, but people were flying in at different times and stuff. I would love to get like everyone that we could, However, in hindsight, I'm glad that maybe it was just the people that were here, because we barely got everyone in frame. Like it was a pretty packed house that night. Putting together, like I went out with my buddy Luis, who you guys met. He did all the cooking for us. So he's like a fantastic cook. He had the big taco area.
Yeah, those tacos were bomb.
Yeah, he's a fantastic cook, and so he was really happy to do it. He's always happy to entertain guests and cook for people. He just loves it. And so we went out and we went around town. It was raining all day, and we bought like $200 worth of like food stuff just to like put it together, because like we wanted to make it right. And so we came back and he started getting it cooked up. And I knew it was a trek for you guys, because you guys were like in like downtown LA. So it was like kind of like a drive to get out here. So I was really appreciative that you guys came. And when you guys came, that like kicked the whole thing up to another notch, because you were like half the party. You guys rolled in like 12 people deep.
Yeah, we rolled deep. Call to action rolls deep.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really beautiful night. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was, I don't. Drew will tell you this if you ever see her again after this pandemic. But this is I don't usually get out. Like I don't usually go out a lot. Like the past year and a half that I've been doing this, I've just spent like pretty much almost every day of my quote unquote potential social life just being here working, because I wanted to make this whole thing work. And I am glad of how it paid off now. But it was nice to have like new people who I considered friends to come into this area and kind of like be together for the first time for myself in a long time. Like that was the first time I kind of like hung out with people in like a long time.
Oh, we were thrilled to be invited, and we had a great time. And I do say I apologize then, and I apologize now for not giving you a lot of great material to work with, because I have. As Kelsey said, it was the full bottle of Jameson then. Yeah, and then Drew retired on me, so that really made me very, very, very sad, very upset.
I mean, the family lost. How else were you going to expect anyone from the Action Army to react when the family lost? And the Ghai retirement thing. Oh my goodness! I'm just glad that there's actual video footage of how I react when I go into panic. I just laugh. I just cry, laugh the whole time.
Yeah.
So that honestly is probably my favorite thing that I having all of the reactors together, and we were all traumatized. Yeah, and having like the group, like a core group of people who are emotionally involved inside of the Schmoedown, all inside of one place at one time, was so much fun. So again, Eric, big thank you for inviting us to that. We did cut our Disney trip short to go to that.
Oh, thank you.
I won't let any of them live that down.
Yeah, I did absolutely. But the great thing about it, getting to be not just with like ourselves partying. We had you there. We had all the reactors. Great seeing all the reactors get together, like share, not like secrets, but like share trade. Not like this is what we do, is what we do. Oh, we love what you do here. And like it was just kindred spirits of all something we love together. We got to really talk and really get down deep to them, but that we all love. Yeah. And yes, that is probably very true, that I did call Andrew trying to get him unretired, and it was about 12, 13 times. He did eventually pick up though. And of course I still hold that actually is true. I did say that. I still hold true that the next day at Spectacular he unretired. I still, in my head canon, I made it happen that he unretired.
Yes.
I don't care if it was planned or not.
It doesn't matter that promo or that little video that Andrew made was like a couple of weeks in advance. It was totally Paul. Calling Andrew 12 times that night. Calling Andrew and Ben.
I almost I was getting desperate at that point.
We had a good time. We definitely had a good time. So again, thank you for inviting us to that. That was so much fun.
Well, moving on. We should say. Actually, one question I want to say. Let's talk about what almost was. that got to the point where you entered the draft and you were going to be a part of the Schmoedown. And, unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, because but with the way things happen, tell where you to get in and how you had to get out.
It was a noble fall on the sword for you, my friend.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was definitely the whole thing. I had it was, I think, November when we our second to last studio taping. I asked Christian, we were talking about ideas for next season, what we're gonna do, and so I asked him, I was like, hey, I would, if possible, I would like to play. And he was like, oh, you want to play? You think you could hang in there? I was like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, okay, I'll put you in the draft for next year then. So I was in there right away, and I said I also put in the good word for my buddy Andres for the draft. So he was in the draft, making a free agent, which luckily paid off now that he's officially drafted. I'm very happy for him. But for the next couple months, I was in the draft, and I was anticipating that, hoping I would get picked up because I would love to play. And I didn't think I would get drafted at the awards because I didn't know how many rookies would get drafted, period, because it's just there's so many people, existing players that we had. I thought maybe a handful of rookies might get drafted, but luckily we did get the really great ones. We got Sean, we got Parker and James White, and some other people who were in there. And Shannon had pulled me aside after the award show, and she said hey, Chance. So Chance tells me that you are really interested in playing, and he says you know your stuff because Chance also stays with me when he comes, and I train him, drill him on questions and stuff like that. The quizzes that I have, I was giving to him first about things, and so he said I was really serious about it, and so I said, yeah, I'm totally serious. I think I could hang in there for sure. And she said, okay, well, I'll think about it then. And so she did pick me up the next day for the remaining picks that they had for the roster. And so I was really over the moon, when that happened. But then shortly after that, I think it was a couple weeks later, Christian called me. And he just said hey man, I'm sorry, I don't think it'll work out if you can play this season, just because for taking on the edits, you're going to have to be looking at the question document to have answers to everything, so you can put the text and the edits in. And I just said yeah, that makes sense. I didn't want to fight it. There are in my mind, the kind of self-preservation nature of myself wants to say well, can't we just do this? Can't we, switch the questions to this and that so I can not see them and stuff? But I didn't want to fight it. I didn't want to have to make people jump through hoops just so I could play. I didn't want to complicate the edit and the workflow just for my personal glory in the show. And I was really happy though to be considered for it. I'm really grateful to Shannon forever for even giving me a shot to be in there. And so I do love being around the show and everyone else, but I think everyone always has that that dream, that aspiration that they could be in the show at some point and compete. And I think I would have done really well. So I was really happy that Shannon at least gave me an opportunity, even if it was for a week and a half.
That's awesome. Whenever you're editing, are you playing along while you edit? If you're watching it for the first time?
Yeah, whenever I see it for the first time, whether I'm editing and I didn't see it in the studio, or if I'm at the studio and I'm watching, I am playing along. I play along. If I'm there in person, I'm playing along on my phone, typing it in people do, or I play along in my head when I'm editing if I see it for the first time in the match. So yeah, I play along, and I still hold that I do pretty well. That I do pretty well in there.
What are your strengths? If you had made it, you would have put strengths on the wheels. What would your strengths be?
I think overall, I probably would have done Inner Geekdom.
Okay.
I think that would have been the league that I would have been most comfortable in, and then also teams. If not that, I think I would have loved to be teamed with Andres for sure.
Your friend that just got drafted on Gallegos?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. It's yeah, and I will say clarification. It's funny. His name is Andres Gallego. It is Gallego. I've been saying Gallegos for 4 years. He just never corrected me. he just never corrected me. So it is Gallego. It is Gallego.
It's Gallego. Okay.
For our draft, when we had our draft special, I actually messaged Eric and go, "How do we pronounce his name?" So I pronounced it right with the draft. He told me wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah. I thought I was wrong because I thought it was wrong. I believed wrong.
And I did the same thing because for the year and a half I worked for Ben and Drew, they always called me Denuzzo, and I never corrected it either because I just don't correct people when it's just Denuzzo. I said that one day I corrected him, and that's all of a sudden how it goes down. So I get you, Andreas. I get to why that would happen. But
I mean, I live in South Texas. The Gallegos is an actual last name down here, so I just assumed that the double L was that.
Yeah. So he was here. Yeah, he was here in person. Yeah, he told me here. We were sitting down on the couch. He was in person. He told me it is Gallego. Yeah, Andres Gallego.
Gallego. Okay. All right.
Fair enough.
You're
Fair
good
enough.
action, y'all.
but I would have loved to be teamed with him, and I think my strengths, would have been now, since we have an inner geekdom slice, probably inner geekdom, like since we have a slice for that now on the wheel.
Right.
But also horror. I do really well in horror.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do really well with sci-fi fantasy. Again, all the genre-based stuff. I do know the classic stuff, like classics, war, like all the kind of like neutral films. But I do know genre-based films like very well.
Good. Well, and he does still love you, so that's
I'm excited to see his debut.
One last thing before I want to get into this or that like special game we play. You have been working very extensively, especially since the old quarantine issue. You've been working with Drew. Yeah, we saw on the screen. How did that partnership develop, and like, where are we going? You got anything more planned for it? Tell us more about it.
With Drew.
With Drew, yeah.
Yeah.
Drew and Video Chronic, basically.
Yeah, Video Chronic, yeah. So Drew came out here in like the first or second week of March because Free For All was coming up. Right. And that's when the whole pandemic thing was starting to spin up. And she messaged me, and she was already planning to stay here for the weekend of Free For All, and we had already planned that out. But she messaged me early on, and she was like, she said, I'm worried that I really think something bad is going to happen here in New York. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it out. So I said, like, why don't you just come out here early then? You can stay here for like a couple weeks. We'll go to Free For All. Then hopefully it'll be fine by then. Little do we know, the world was going to end. And so now she's stuck here. And so she can't go back to New York. Like she could physically, she could fly there, but I don't want to send her back with New York like falling apart like it is. So like she's kind of she's staying here for now, working in the garage, doing what she can do to kind of keep sane and like be productive. And luckily, I think we have like fed off each other's energy very well because she is a very productive person, and so I like also work 24/7. And she says like that kind of helped, kind of kick her enough to start doing more with her channel and like what she wanted to do. And so she has launched a lot of like creative shows. She has, Cinema Bites with Alex, and she does her karaoke. We do Video Chronic now, and it has worked out really well despite everything else going on around the world. Like it's been fun though. It's been fun having someone around to kind of bounce ideas off of for our stuff. And I think for as far as like the stuff that we do together, we have a lot of other stuff we want to do that's planned. Just like we're just taking our time to pace it out, make sure it's kind of like developed right. On top of like making sure our core work is taken care of. I want to make sure the Schmoedown is taken care of along with my other work that pays me. And I do think that we have a lot of like fun stuff lined up to kind of come out. Depending however long this whole pandemic thing lasts, even when that's done, I think we'll still have like things in place so we can keep doing fun stuff together.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, it's time then. I think it's time for a little bit of this or that. If you haven't seen our show before, it's where I'm going to give Eric two options. You can ask for clarification if he wants, or he can just go ahead and ramble through. I usually ramble through myself, so it's all good. I am definitely the rambler.
And also hashtag Danny Rants.
And hashtag Danny Rants. That is very true.
I do want to point out something though. Dean Morgan commented. He says, can you confirm that she is a robot? It's funny. We just recently concluded the origin story of Drew and Tom last night, or like 2 nights ago. what that is. So we finally wrote that into canon. Like I guess I won't stay here. I'll let her like develop that if she wants to ever say it. But we did decide what the origin story between them is.
I love it.
Woo! We cannot wait for that.
That's awesome. All right. Well, like I said, this is that. Basically, I'll give 2 options, and some of them are written for you specifically. Some of them are just our general every week kind of things we do. And we always start out with the first one. I'm sure you've seen before. And I don't know the answer to this one. Actually, sometimes I have an idea. Sometimes I don't. Are you Team Ghai or are you Team Trader?
One right answer.
Yeah. What's funny? Is it because I didn't get to play? I get to like plead the fifth on this thing. I get to say like I'm neutral on both. I get to say that I'm a third party perspective. I like both equally.
That is the first.
I have that power. I'm going to pull that card because I had to treat everyone equally for a narrative standpoint, and I get to say that I enjoy both equally for different reasons.
I'm not that mad at it.
I think you are the only one I might allow that option to, because I get what you're saying. You have a good reason why. I will let that slide, but nobody else who's watching, don't get any ideas. Save it for watching. Nobody else. I'll push for more from everybody else. But Eric, I love you, so I'll let that slide.
Yeah, we're gonna let that slide on this one, my friend.
I don't know. Jake is quite as forgiving. We'll have to see.
I mean, I'm not that happy about it, but it is what it is.
I get it. So I'm good. I go where you're going with it. Okay. Well, you've been like on Video Chronic and everything else. You've been doing a lot of trivia writing questions yourself. Yep. So do you like writing trivia questions better or playing trivia?
That's a good one. I think I like writing a little bit more. I love playing. If I had the opportunity, I would love to play. But I think writing is such a fun process because, like, one, I started writing these kind of quizzes because it was my study tactic. I would do it to watch a film and study it in geekdom style. So I would remember all like the kind of like plot details of the film. And once I did watch it, it would lock in like how much I remember about that film. I could tell you, like a lot of like minute details about certain films that would never come up in Schmoedown, but I know it now. And it is fun. It is fun also getting into the mindset of writing questions and trying to think of like how a question should be worded properly so it doesn't like give away the answer or like it's not too difficult. And also the multiple choice options are believable, but also not too easy or too difficult to kind of like comprehend. And there's a lot of like thought process going into it. Also, I love for my job itself, I love creating things for people. So I love creating these quizzes for people, especially for movies that probably won't ever get like a lot of love in the Schmoedown, just because like they're not big movies, not necessarily because Schmoedown has issues with that. Just because I do think that you can't ask deep cut questions about certain movies. And trying to think like a minute movie. I was gonna say heavyweights, but we just had something like that.
I've seen something about heavyweights. People are saying that they didn't watch heavyweights as a kid. I definitely did. So
or Three Ninjas.
Yeah. I loved all of those movies as a kid. Eric, really quickly, just to touch on that, I've watched you with Chance specifically and with other competitors quiz them on that. Are you create the questions that you ask them? Are those your questions that you've curated, or are those questions that you found from somewhere else?
No, I write all the questions.
Those are some deep cut questions, y'all. I have watched him do this, and those are some deep questions.
Yes, like the questions that I think I was drilling Chance with at dinner before Spectacular or before the awards. I think those are all my questions, as well as like the ones I do on like our show, Video Chronic. Like I write them just for fun. I started doing just for fun, but I did write them for myself purposefully so I could kind of remember these details. And like it's just study tactic. A study tactic is when you write something down, you remember it better. So like I figured writing questions down about things would make you remember it better, and it did. It helped me a lot when I was trying to study for these things.
Fair enough. Okay, how about question? I don't know. Hopefully you've seen both. I'm sure you have. Blade Runner or Blade Runner 2049?
I'll say Blade Runner 2049, like all the way, definitely, like 100%. Drew thought it was blasphemous when I said this, but like I think I respect Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, more than I enjoy it.
That's a very good way of saying that.
Because I think it's like very influential in sci-fi. I do think it's a very like well produced and constructed movie. I just don't think a lot of the entertainment value holds up in certain ways like today. It's funny because you look at the way certain movies, again, through the editing, the cinematography, Blade Runner has like a lot of those like kind of like very long sweeping shots of like the cityscape and like the kind of fire coming up and like the big pyramid looking structures. And I do think that's because back then they put a lot of time building those models and they were very proud of it. So they wanted to show off the models in the really long shots. And that's something that still exists today. That exists when we have like really gratuitous CGI shots in movies that go on for too long. It's because they're very proud of that work and they want to show it off for the animators who did it. And so that's how movies kind of like linger for too long on certain things. And that's just what it was back then when it was made. But I do love 2049 a lot because it is really long. It's super long. Yeah. And I do think if you were like forced to, there's a lot you can cut out to make it shorter. But I do think
for the Dave Bautista scene, because that scene is the best part of the movie.
But personally, I wouldn't cut it down. I wouldn't cut it down. I think it's beautifully paced. I do think it's like a really like poignant movie. I did enjoy it a lot. I've seen it about 3 times now, so that's like 9 hours of my life.
I love it. I've seen it. Yeah, it's my favorite movie of the decade. But
Yeah.
so I've spoken like a true editor, like the long CGI shots you can cut. You know where you have to cut things. That's so you watch films that way and just go, yeah, you could edit that out. You could definitely edit that out.
Yeah.
Eric, have you read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Cheap. Yeah, I did back in the day. It's been a while since I read it. I read it before, I think way before even like Blade Runner 2049 was like being in production. So I kind of want to go back and reread it again with some of those themes in mind as for what they pulled from it.
Definitely do. I can't wait to rant about this.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull the rant aside now.
Yeah.
You already kind of answered this question. You already kind of answered this question, but I'll throw it in there when I wrote it down. My new question: the Snyder, IG, yay or nay?
Yeah. So I mean, I understand. The thing is that it's just I think it's a matter of preference. Like I understand where Snyder's coming from, saying like he thinks IG is like a lesser league because like it takes films that one. He has an issue with it because it's a finite amount of films, so quote unquote a supposedly finite amount of films that you can study for. So like that you have like the 20 Marvel films that you study for, the like handful of DCEU films, and when you compare that to the broad spectrum of like general movies of all time, yes, that is a much smaller pool to pull from. And so I get that, and so I understand that kind of gripe about it. But he's also complaining about the fact that there are like lesser movies in general. So like they're like kind of cheap. He says they're cheaper movies. They're like like subpar, low class, lowbrow movies. And that's what the implication is she's giving off. And I just think that is a matter of preference. That's a matter of like the questions that you kind of don't want to be approached with for the certain type movie that you're being asked about. He doesn't want to have to watch Green Lantern or Catwoman, again, just to remember like a plot detail in scene 6 or whatever. However, conversely, when it comes to a matter of preference, I do think that there's a flip side to that, which is that some people prefer those questions over like the general like casting and like ancillary questions that happen in the trivia Schmoedown. I have a friend, Luis, the ones he met. He personally really hates casting questions. He really hates like who played this person, who directed this thing. He says he loves Harry Potter. He can tell you every single thing about Harry Potter except like who played what. Because he's like I don't care. Like I love Harry Potter. I don't love like the girl who played Ginny Weasley. I don't like I don't love these people. I don't care about the actors. I love the story. I love Harry Potter. That's why I like. And so like to him, those questions are bullshit. Like those questions like he doesn't like. And again, it's a matter of preference. It's a matter of like how much you enjoy the material that's being asked about and the way you enjoy it. And Snyder, he's just kind of like the opposite side of like the spectrum for that. He enjoys certain films and being asked certain questions about them in a certain way. You saw in his match against Who's the Boss, they got put with Star Wars question. The 2 questions that he answered right were the ones that were about casting. Those are the ones he answered right. The plot detail questions were the ones he struggled with. Because that's what he said. He liked the question about Tamara Morrison. He said it's a great question. And that's what he likes about movies. He likes the kind of ancillary stuff about who plays what, who directed that. That's how he enjoys film. It's just preference of how you consume the media.
Right. That's a great way to look at it. That aspect of it. Okay. This one specifically for you because of the times that you had call to action out. You've taken us out to eat a Korean barbecue or Brazilian barbecue.
How's it going? I think one Korean barbecue, just because it's one cheaper, but it is. But I think it is just as delicious. That Brazilian barbecue was nuts. It was great, but the Korean barbecue, I think it's just like it's cheaper. It's like more relaxed, a more relaxed environment. It's not, at least the one that we went to was super fancy. The Brazilian steakhouse that we went to, which like I loved it. I loved having you guys there. But I loved also having you guys at Korean barbecue, which we were like much closer. It was a smaller pool of people. We're just like kind of chatting and going over like a much smaller vicinity of like topics, and like the space between us was smaller, so we weren't like yelling at each other the whole time.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. And yes, that's true. He did. Eric took us out and paid for dinner. That was very, very awesome of you. Definitely. So, okay. Studio events or live events for the Schmoedown?
That's a good one. I want to say live, on the condition that my purposes are like met. My needs are met, which is that I really want to get more live event B-roll of people. Like Dwayne couldn't make it out to the Orlando event last year, Founding Fathers versus Corruption, unfortunately. And so I really, not no slight on him. I just really wish we got good B-roll of like Roka winning the teams belt. Like we don't have that, unfortunately, and that's like stuff that drives me nuts. And so I would love to do more live events where I could like ensure that I have people there, if not myself, to shoot B-roll for like the big moments. So we have that because it looks great, like it works, it gives me a lot of mileage for the competitors. In the studios, I'm able to have that pretty frequently. I can make sure I get that handled myself if need be, if Dwayne's busy, because Dwayne's taking on a lot of responsibilities these days, and which I'm really happy for him. But we had to kind of keep that in mind. So I do love live events because it gives us a lot to work with once it's done. But it does drive me nuts because the promos are usually really big, and I had a lot of work into those.
Definitely do. All right. I'll throw a little horror one at you since you said you like the horror.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees.
Jason. I had to say Jason.
You're a Jason guy. Okay,
I am a Jason guy because I love them both, but I just think Jason has had like the more like fun and wacky series franchise, because Freddy is like fun and wacky like by design. Jason is fun and wacky by like mistake because they didn't know what to do with that franchise for like they were going back and forth, like he did this thing, he's dead, he's dead, now he's here, now he's undead. So like I love that he Jason, they kind of rolled with it until 4 and decided like no, we're gonna keep going, we're just gonna do like 8 more of these, and then it's a franchise I can watch with like without having to take it seriously, because like again, even though I love those movies, Friday the 13th never had like a quote unquote like good film. Like Halloween, the first film is like arguably like a good film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nightmare on Elm Street, like the first one is like good for what it started out as, but then Dream Warriors is like I think arguably like a great film like for the franchise. Like I just think Friday the 13th, as fun as they can be, they're all pretty schlocky, they're all pretty campy. I don't think any of them like are going to be held up in like the pantheon of like horror iconic films. Freddy vs. Jason, Drew says. Like I love that one. It's one of my favorite ones for sure. Like I genuinely love that one a lot. But yeah, like so I take it with a grain of salt. The whole thing with a grain of salt.
Can I tell a quick story? Just really quickly. I'm so sorry. So I used to have a recurring nightmare, like an actual dream/nightmare of me like in this weird room of pipes and like just it was all red, and it didn't occur to me until I rewatched Nightmare on Elm Street that was actually what I was dreaming. What's up, Video Drew? Perfect timing. That was actually what I was dreaming, was the scene from Nightmare on Elm Street, because I guess I saw it when I was a kid, completely blocked it out, and that just became my nightmare.
Okay, so when I was a kid, what happened was I used to have this reoccurring dream that a guy with a burned face would come to me in my dreams and offer to be my dream prince and would take me over to a castle, and he could make his face look like anyone else's face. So he could make his face look like Brad Pitt, and he'd go, "This is where we live, and if you become my bride, you can live here. The only thing is once a year we have to go scare these children to death." And every time I had the dream, I'd be like, "No, thank you, sir." And he wore a fedora. And every time, every time I'd be like, "No, thank you, sir." And he'd lay me back down on my bed and give me a gentle kiss on my forehead to sleep. And that was like years before I saw Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Oh my God. To be fair though, men in fedoras after the year 2015 or 2005 really were just terrifying.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be Mrs. Freddy Krueger. That's a surprise of no one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Bye. Bye.
It's fine if you stay.
I do want to point out, what Andres donated for the chat for, which is Mom's Machete. Which if you listen to our Freddy versus Jason commentary, we were talking about it, and Drew was like, "Where did the machete come from?" And Andres was like, "Well, in like some iterations, like it's his mom's machete." and I was just like
Machete.
knees weak, arms heavy, mom's machete.
I can't say it. Mom's machete. It's such a good T-shirt. We have it designed.
Yeah, so we're gonna make a T-shirt that says "Mom's Machete" on it.
Please tell me that I can buy this.
Yeah,
Please.
designed by my roommate, who's a really talented artist.
All right, you already just said that Friday the 13th didn't have any good movies or schlocky, but which one would be your favorite then?
If not Freddy vs. Jason, because that's like a crossover film. If not that, right. I think I do like number 4 a lot, the final chapter.
That's
the one that I think takes itself like most seriously and like does the best doing that. Like it tries to have stakes in it. It's just like the fact that the films like undo all the stakes later on.
Yeah.
Demon?
No.
Because here's what I never got, and not to interrupt, hi guys. But this is our quiz time normally, so this is just us, and I'm feeling better. So here's the thing: Jason makes no sense because he's supposed to be a dead child, and then it's his mom, and then the second one he's avenging his mom's death as a grown ass man, but he's not undead, and there doesn't even get to be witchcraft in play. Like he's just a regular dude. So there's like some weird mix up, like some weird mix up at the ghost factory about who is actually dead.
Yeah, we just said it's a weird Three's Company mix up. Like they just thought each other was dead.
They thought the other one was dead, and then the third one's witchcraft at the end.
Yeah,
and he doesn't get the mask till number 3. Yeah. So like, what are you talking about, guys?
That's a very good question.
The third one's in 3D.
Yeah.
And then by the time 6 roll around, they say, you know what, this is not working. We're just going to go Super Jason and make everything work. With the whole lightning strikes and the zombie.
Whatever it is what it is. That's good in space.
Yeah, they put him in space.
Yeah.
I will give it credit though. Unlike Saw, at least the third one was the 3D one, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be like the 7th one.
Saw 7 3D. So yeah.
Saw 7 3D. All right, that's good.
Don't get me started on the Saw movies because this is not my chill to action.
You should say it for as though you are doing your chill episode early.
I know. Yeah, this is a preview for the Drew chilled action.
Which will happen.
Action.
Drew
action. Well, different action, absolutely.
Oh, good.
Okay. I just kind of committed to that, but I don't want to take over your time, and I have a tendency to do that. I just want to say hi to everyone because I know everyone was a little bit worried, and so I want to do my little cameo.
Yes.
I'm good. Everything's good.
She's alive.
I'm alive.
This is not a hologram or anything.
Ow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're always happy to see you, Drew. We'll talk.
Hi, guys. I like your reaction video. PLD.
Oh, thank you. I have one final this or that question I'll throw down there. This is one I've been thinking about doing and bringing back something a little bit. Brandon Hanna or a gaping chest wound?
Gaping chest wound.
There's clearly only one.
There's clearly a right answer on this one.
I mean, Brandon didn't say anything bad about me in that video. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
all right,
again, like, Brandon's always...
Tonight's episode.
To be fair, Brandon has always treated me with respect, but that's because, like, he's at my mercy with those things. So, so all those, like, the video that he did, like, he got that on social media, but I get to choose how I've used that in his promo.
That's true. That is true. But
so I'll take Brandon. I'll take Brandon with like the certain limitations that we have over like our work dynamic.
Yeah, take Brandon with the gaping chest wound.
That is the question we can always do. Brandon with the gaping chest wound.
Yeah, Brandon with the gaping chest wound. Shout out to William Bibiani for giving the best gaping chest wound answer.
That's true. And I will say, Eric, after chill is over, we're going to talk. I have some money for you. We're going to make Brandon look bad for his next his next match. Just so you know.
You have the hit. You have the hit on the Hitman.
That's true. That's exactly it. Exactly it. And I'll pay you to make me look really good somehow too. All right, that's going to end this or that. Thank you very much for that, and this as well. Now we were going to be going into our very special, of course, questions from the chat. Get all those questions off.
That is right. So make sure rule number 1: don't piss off the editor. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Paul, for this or that. Thank you for bringing back gaping chest wound. That was one of my favorite ones. Absolutely.
It was time.
So with this next segment in Chill to Action, this is the chat question. So if you have any questions for Eric Rodriguez, make sure that you get them back into the chat. If we missed it, make sure that you get them in there. And for this segment, we're going to do something new today that we haven't done before, something that I'm super excited about, that we're all super excited about. We're going to go ahead and bring on the one, the only Miss Kelsey Kirkland is going to come on for the screen.
Hey.
And she is going to let us know any questions that you have inside of the chat. And while we do that, we are all going to plug whatever we need to plug for the Call to Action Network for here. So, Paul, let us know what we have going on in the Call to Action world at the moment.
I will. I will also say first, PC just said, what about Streamlabs? Yes, any Streamlabs that have been already put in there, we will be answering them as well. If you want to do more Streamlabs, we're happy to have them. Anything that is announced. So, but as in the call to the network action, next week we actually have Chill to Action for the next couple of weeks booked out as we try to book it out ahead of time. Next week we have someone who hasn't been around for a bit, but he's going to be in a Bond match soon, so I can't wait to see that. In fact, I have a bet going. If you guys ever saw me, I had a bet against Josh Estes about the Back to the Future exhibition match. Well, we went 2-0 now for the Bond match. He chose Brad Gilmore again because he's a Texan. He's sticking with the Texans. I know Danielle knows all about that, but whatever. I chose this guy, Tim the Tank Franco. I excited to talk to him. He's very much, again, a person with late party connections as well. So I'm very excited to talk to him.
Yeah, I just said that you're forgetting the most important part about next week.
No, I didn't forget. I'm just not going to talk about it. We have the yes, it is Danielle's birthday next week. We'll have a birthday party on with Tim as well.
Yeah, I will say it is also Video Drew's birthday on the same day.
That's right. That's right.
Really?
Birthday buddies, yeah.
And I have the same birthday. I found this out on one of her Twitch streams. She talked about it, said it was May 25th. May 25th is my birthday. It is Video Drew's birthday. So everyone come and hang out and wish us some happy birthdays and all of that good stuff.
Happy birthday.
I can't believe you said that, Paul. I'm very sad.
Wow, you're too bad. I'm just trying to live a little bit of a zinger. All right, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you later. I'm sorry. Also, next couple of weeks, we also have basically the first cut taking over Chill to Action. We got the wonderful Sabrina Ramirez will be on. And then the following week after that, we will have RB3 with that infectious laughter. I'm going to try to get him to laugh as much as I can because his laughter he cures cancer at this point.
Yeah.
It's so good. And Daddy, what about Schmoebates this week? We have Schmoebates coming up. Is it not?
Schmoebates is not coming up this Wednesday. Unfortunately, right now, as far as we know, it's a bye day. I believe that Alex was in the chat. If she needs to say anything, then definitely. Don't be surprised. Swag is in the chat. Shout out to Swag. That is me. Just so you know. Schmoebates is moving from this Wednesday to next Monday. So that is going. I forgot what Monday is that event is. Kelsey, do you happen to know what Monday that is? Who's participating in that Monday?
Dwayne versus James, right?
Yeah, Dwayne versus James.
Dwayne versus James. That is right. So, unfortunately, Schmoebates is not this Wednesday, but next Monday on my birthday, Dwayne versus James is going to be right before Chill to Action. So you will catch Schmoebates before you get Chill to Action. Make sure that you tune into that. It's going to be a great C2A day. Thank you so much, Jake. And if we get anything scheduled in for Wednesday between then, we will definitely let you know. But as far as we know, it's going to be an off day for C2A that day. And then we do have a call to the fan leagues coming on Friday, and that'll be one to watch. So make sure that you tune into that for sure.
And of course, next Sunday, as always, we have Call Live, hosted by the wonderful Kelsey Kirk.
Thank you.
There you go. Now, Kelsey, I guess it'll be your.
All right.
I believe it is your.
Streamlabs. All right. Where did we leave off? So we have a question from Nappyhead. Did you watch wrestling pre-Schmoedown? Can you gain inspiration from classic wrestling promos, or do you find it best to keep it a clean palette?
I watched wrestling a little bit when I was younger, with my friends primarily. So I don't think I personally was like a huge wrestling fan. Like I didn't go out of my way to watch it like by myself. I usually just surround a lot of people who did. It's like my cousins, like my friends. So I would watch it like through them for the most part. So I was aware of like the storylines and a lot of stuff that was going on. And then as far as like the promos go, I do take inspiration from those things, and then like ideas and beats of like kind of what I want to emulate from like those and other like trailers and TV spots that I do admire. But I always try to like steer clear of like copying them, like, you know, one for one or anything like that. I don't want to like replicate anything too closely. I want to give the show and make sure the show has like a certain style to it, and like make sure like the show has unique flair from like what you might see on WWE. And I think one of the most recent ones I can recall was the women's WrestleMania event that they had last year. I think it was last year between Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey, and the third one I forgot who, the Ric Flair. The Flair. That promo I think was one of the best ones they had done in recent memory, and so like I was really inspired by that. I think it was that one actually that I saw shortly before the Houston promo that gave me the inspiration to make the Houston promo the way it was. It was like the kind of like more energetic, like rock music coming in because that matched Ghai and Bateman much more than like the cinematic music that you might find for like some of the other competitors.
Love that.
Really quickly, I just want to ask, so Nerd Chronic, your promo is kind of got like this, or I'm sorry, your logo has this sort of Super Mario theme to it. Kind of alludes to video game sort of things. Did you ever play MK11?
Was that the one that came out most recently?
Yes.
Okay, I played a little bit of it, not a whole lot. I didn't go through most of it the way I could. I played it because my roommate had it, and so I played it just like small fights here and there. Yeah.
My question was about Ronda Rousey being in MK11.
Yeah. Ronda Rousey, you know, much to she. Good for her, making so much accomplishments in her career, but she is in my opinion, not a fantastic actress. She's really not. She is fortunately very not. Like, you know, like all credit to her, and you know, all best of luck to her. But I recently, we were talking about that funny too, because we also just recently rewatched all the Fast and Furious movies with me and my roommates, and so she's pretty bad in Fast and Furious 7.
Yes, she is. Awful.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy her as my favorite Mortal Kombat character, Sonya Blade. So
yeah.
As an actress, she's a great UFC fighter.
Yeah,
she's a great fighter, absolutely 100%, but was very unentertained with MK11.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for me.
Kelsey.
All right, next question. Well, it's actually more of a statement. It's from Faris, and it is, Eric, I think you are awesome, and we love you.
Oh, thank you, Faris. Yeah.
We love you, General Whiskers.
Yes, good luck for me, Aldana.
All right, and then we have one from Kelly Yakoveta. It says, Eric, I love your promos and what you've brought to the Schmoedown. You're great.
Thank you, Jake.
Is that Mommy Yox?
Is that Mommy Yox, Jake? Is that what that is?
Is that Mommy Yox? Someone let me know if that's Mommy Yox or someone.
Kelly,
because if you're getting love from Mommy Yox, that's pretty impressive. So.
No, seriously.
Yeah, that's always fun. That's the best part. Like getting love from like family members of people in the Schmoedown. Like, I don't watch the show, but I liked what you did. I saw what you did, like the one thing you did.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go. Jake does say.
Yep.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much.
All right, and then we have a question from PC. I really dug your Oregon trip story. If you did have to fly for an event with Schmoedown, where would you hope to go?
Oh yeah, because I had said on the Hotel Nerd podcast that I've never been on a plane, so I've never flown anywhere in my life. Not one because I have like some jitters about it because I just never have, but two because I've never been in a situation where I had to. I never like had to travel anywhere in my life like afar. So I haven't gone to a Schmoedown event abroad yet. So I was thinking about. Last time we did it, I was thinking about doing the New York event, going out there because everyone loves to go to that one. It's the kickoff of the season and it's like a big party. I was trying to put things in motion to potentially go to Houston with Drew and Jake and like some other people when that was still a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the anniversary of Houston, May 18th. 2 minutes until midnight my time. So
yeah, I still hear the soundbite in my head from the promo. May 18th, Ghai versus Bateman.
Yep.
Man, I gotta put
Yeah, I think probably somewhere close to you guys. Probably Houston would be a great one to fly to.
Yeah, come to Texas for sure. We'll hang out.
Yeah.
I'll take you to dinner in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't say no to that.
Perfect. All right, now for the general chat questions. What would you ever want to edit a feature? If so, what genre?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe a feature I think would be fun to do. I don't know if I would want to do that like as a career or like professionally, like like as opposed to the Schmoedown. But I would, in theory, I would like to edit a feature and probably something a little more like in my style, a little more action based. I really I like the movie Baby Driver a lot because of the editing, because of the music, and because of like the directorial prowess in it. I do think it's Edgar Wright's weakest film. I really do. But however, I just think that's because he put like so much time and effort into like the visual aspects of that film, which are masterfully done.
That's an interesting concept. I never really thought of it that way. I did enjoy the film, but when you say it like that, I can see where you're coming from. I think maybe I was distracted by the masterfulness of it.
Yeah,
I do like the film, but the music helps a lot too. To me,
yes, absolutely,
really banging on that one. So,
all right, perfect. And then we have Eric. What is your favorite movie score?
Ooh,
Pick.
It's a good one.
Hey,
I think the easy answer for me is Lord of the Rings, like in general. Lord of the Rings, like series, like franchise. Sure. I think that's probably the greatest score like in cinema history for that entire franchise. Like everything just fits so well. If not that though, I really do love the score for Arrival.
Oh, that was a good one. It was very we just
Arrival,
just watched that the other day. So good.
Oh, yeah, it's it's a beautiful score for like a very otherwise like what would be a slow film, like a very slow burn film. But I think the score does wonders for kind of like helping the pacing, helping carry the pacing along for like the moments that you kind of need to invest in the characters in the slower moments.
It's funny. We did this a show I do on called Class Action on the Ben and Drew's page. We just did Arrival versus Interstellar. We mentioned that it's a shame that his score couldn't be nominated for an Oscar because he used prior music, or I forgot the name of the track. I didn't have my notes with me.
Yeah, they used one track from another previous work, so they couldn't be nominated for best score.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Speaking of Class Action, there's my brother Richard Eric Jeremy talking about that. Yes, I did freak out at him a little bit when he said something.
That's the thing. It's like I just feel like I can't, like John Williams is like a given, It's like duh, it's like
that I get.
Like duh, John Williams.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious because I almost said it.
Yeah, I recently rewatched Hook for the quiz that we did, and that movie I love it because I grew up with it, like for sure. But the movie itself, like I see why it has like a 20% Rotten Tomatoes in certain aspects. Like it is like there are parts of it that don't like click together, that are very weird. Like again, from an editing standpoint, like it's very bizarre. But the John Williams score in it is still like so beautiful and fantastic. Like the score does so much for that movie. Honestly, like it makes like feel like moments that would otherwise be so corny, like are like he makes them really beautiful. The score is absolutely beautiful.
It's absolutely fun. It's exactly what you said, because when that question came in and you started answering, in my head I'm going, well, Star Wars. But then I started thinking to myself, like, but I can't answer Star Wars because it's too dark of an answer. So that's an interesting answer. What's next beyond John Williams and Star Wars? So I thought the exact same thing. But,
John Williams is like in his own league.
Yeah, there's on the Nature of Daylight. That's the song that was reused in Arrival. So great. Anyway, I could geek out about scores a lot, but go ahead, Kelsey. Go to the next question.
All right, question from Dean Morgan. What's your favorite thing you've edited outside of Schmoedown?
Yeah.
I did. I was an assistant editor for 3 shows that are at Disney World now. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Disney World. They have the projected light shows that they do. So like for the Animal Kingdom, they have like the water light show that they do, that they just revamped. So they have like clips of like the animated films integrated with like live action animal films that they've done, as well as like the Disney World of movie magic that did like 3 years ago, which was a montage of all their live action films. And then last year they did a show, a projection show, which was like a montage of all their animated films, which is projected on their Grauman's Chinese theater venue, like the backdrop that they have. So like it's like just projected image, like lights of like the clips going here and there, left and right, like around, like with the animations rolling. I was the assistant editor for those shows, so I was paid to literally sit and procure like clips from all their library of films. Like, so I got to go through like all the Pirates films, pick out all like the great money shots for like Jack Sparrow, like the great sound bites and stuff like that. I had to go through the like Beauty and the Beast when that was coming out, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, like Tron, everything that they had, and just pick out like all like the best clips from like every Disney film ever.
Honey, really? Like we could have been talking about Disney this whole time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Honey, I'm like as much as like Eric, I love you so much, and that makes me so proud. Like I'm gonna cry.
There you go. Big shocker. Big shocker. Daniel's gonna cry. Big
I
shocker.
am gonna cry. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun to be a part of that. And there was a point in the first show that I did with the live action films where I they got really slammed with the work for the deadline, so they actually let me like design a handful of like the montages, the sequences that we did for like I think it was a Guardians of the Galaxy and Beauty and the Beast and Pirates of the Caribbean. I got to place the images like kind of like in where they went with the flow of it, and like I do a lot of study for like eye tracking and like how the audience would perceive it depending on where they're standing in the crowd.
That's awesome. That's
That's so
the different stuff you don't even think about.
Very cool.
Hey.
Craig is damn nobody's word shoulder and they're trying to convince. Probably damn true. So.
Craig's our ringer for our quizzes. He's always ready to go.
I gotta ask you a question about that. Has he ever missed a question in your quizzes? I don't think I've ever seen him miss a question.
Craig's been rocked a few times on some of our quizzes. Like honestly, like and to his credit, he's still like a trivia master. It's just like some deep cut questions on Clue are pretty damn hard. It's like the movies that you might not have watched it in years, and like some movies are harder than others because like the details are just more like inherently obscure. Like Clue is a very fast movie, so like it's easy to miss details with like this onslaught of comedy that's coming at you every second. So there's a lot of stuff that you might miss, and so we have stumped Craig on a few. I can say proudly, however, I do not take that away from his movie trivia prowess and the fact that he is with one match, admittedly, undefeated in the movie trivia Schmoedown.
Yeah, and exhibition as well.
It has like four different endings, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he did Scott Pilgrim, and yes, shout out to Janine as well, who aced our Scott Pilgrim quiz. She got every single question right.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Janine in a Scott Pilgrim match.
Yeah.
All right. Next question from Garth McMurray. Speaking of gaping chest wounds, did you watch that video Drew live stream with me and Paul on camera where I showed my gaping chest wound photo that Drew loved and Paul hated?
Yeah, I think I did see that. I think that was when she was still in New York and like she was just doing a live stream and Garth came on. He was recovering. I'm thankful that Garth is like now like seeming very recovered and healthy these days. But yeah, he showed that to the audience and the crowd on the stream, and that's Drew's type of thing,
Right. I saw that on Twitter. Garth had posted that. So I think it was a reply to Roxy, or I think he posted that picture on Twitter, and I didn't know what I was looking at until I read what Garth had posted, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Shout out to Garth, General Garth. Garth is still a general, correct?
Garth is a general in the Action Army.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
All right. Next question from Zagallo. How did you find content to practice editing?
So I guess here's a funny for anything I could say. When I was in high school, I started editing. So I'm really big in anime. Like I do love anime, and so I started editing by doing AMVs. I started doing anime music videos when I was younger, in high school. So just like taking clips from like my favorite anime shows and like mixing it with music like to the beat and like just building like small music videos out of it. And I got on YouTube pretty early on when it started, and I was for a while, I think for like a year and a half, I was the 30th most subscribed person on YouTube. When I started doing that, because I was doing a lot of anime music videos for that, and I started doing this other thing where I would mix anime with like stand-up comedy, So like I would have like the unders, like the comedy tracks, so like certain bits and jokes from stand-up material, and I would like dub it underneath like anime characters like speaking with it, and like match the clips to it to match like the content that they were saying, and that took off, and like it was funny. It was a fun thing to do, and like it helped with like lip syncing and stuff. So like I did that for a while, and that got me like really high on YouTube. And so that's what I started doing out for a long time when I was younger. I would just do a lot of like music video type stuff with that. And that's how I kind of developed my style for doing stuff what it is now, which is mixing music with action and like dialogue and like an underlying narration.
I don't watch a lot of anime, but I did just recently start watching Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, that's great.
I did too. First episode tonight, actually.
And I'm on like episode 20 of the first book. So
wait, so you're both watching for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
First time.
you guys, that's impressive. I'm really glad you guys are. I'm glad more people are, because I edit for a reaction channel. Her name is Iman Snow, and so she does big reactions for anime and like TV shows, like live action shows as well. And they're going through Avatar right now, and they just started book 3, and they're loving it, and it's really special to me because I love that show 100%. Like I think that is arguably in like my top 5 TV shows of all time. Like I think it's like a perfect TV show. It is a show that gets better every season. Like every season it's better than the last, and it ends like perfectly. And I think you guys are one for like a great ride. But I am glad that the show has legs and has like a new revival now because it's on Netflix.
Right.
I'm wondering if I should start doing reaction videos on my personal channel for it.
Yeah,
my daughter
loves it. Like I love it. And there's an audience for it. Like the people who love that show love that show. So there's an audience who are eager.
I've gotten nothing but good reception from, like, anytime I tell someone that I'm watching the show, they're like, "Yes, it's the best show."
Yeah.
Perfect.
My daughter and wife love the show.
Perfect show.
Yeah, it's a beautiful show. And it has like, amazing concepts, not just for children, but for like adults, and just like, like philosophy, Eastern philosophy too, and like just like the thoughts in general. Yeah, it's a really beautiful show, and I think you'll enjoy it. And if you do post anything for it, as far as reactions, like there's an audience I think you'll find, because people are eager to see reactions to it, because like they love the show. It's been gone for like 15 years now, and people are happy to see people get into it again.
It's that old? Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Pretty old.
Kelsey, have you seen it?
I sort of. My daughter watched the whole thing, and so I've seen episodes here and there as I walked in the room and out and stuff like that. But I've been wanting to sit and just watch it. But it was on Prime for a while. That's when we watched it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit and watch it. And then it got pulled off of Prime, and then it wasn't streaming anywhere.
Yeah.
So now that I know it's on Netflix.
Yeah, earlier today I was gonna suggest to you, Kelsey, this is a show you should watch with your kids. This is so much fun.
Tilly's seen all of it. She loves
it.
I know I'm all in. I know, because of the Clone Wars, because of Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni. I didn't know Dave Filoni did anything on it until I saw it at the end credits that Dave Filoni directed a few episodes that I've seen so far. So
he was heavily into it.
I'm totally into this.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of crossover in terms of like storytelling and pacing with like the Clone Wars and Avatar. Like they're able to do so much with so little.
Right.
With like small arcs.
Right. Absolutely. So.
All right. Okay. Another question: is there a certain editing transition that either drives you up the wall or is, in your opinion, overused?
Maybe not drives me up the wall, but like there's it's funny now. I was talking to Drew about it. I forgot what we were watching. We're watching Cube. We're watching Cube because I'd never seen Cube. It's her favorite movie, or like one of her top 3 movies. And there are what I call the TV edits in them, which were like movies when they get done with the scene and it fades black, then it fades back up. And it's like I was just like, why do they do that? Like, it's an out of date thing. Like movies don't really do that anymore. Pulp Fiction does it. Handful of like older films, like iconic films, do it, but like you don't really see that anymore. Like fade to blacks in the middle of a movie. Because it's
right.
It's like it's a weird pacing thing that you wouldn't see it anymore. So like that it sticks out to me when that happens. I don't like fault them because it's a product of their time, but like it is the thing that kind of stands out to me now. There is I think just beyond that, like I think editing, as far as transitional editing, it's mainly just I don't like when things get too flashy. I like unless the moment of the edit calls for it. I just don't like when things overdo itself as far as like flashy transitions. I like cuts that kind of are complemented by the action of the content itself.
All right, another question from Dave. Hey, Eric, I know you were going to compete in the Schmoedown, but could not because became a full-time editor. What is your accuracy rates? Next answer.
Accuracy rates. I would say Andres would know probably better than I would because he was sitting next to me when we would answer questions next to each other. But I feel like I was answering things at least 80% and upward. Which was depending on what it was. So Andres and I, when we worked together for a couple of years at the same company. We worked a night shift. So at night, when things would slow down, we would get out whiteboards at the office and sit down and watch the teams match. And I would play along with him as a team. We would play as a team against the teams on screen. And I would be fair. I would remember the ones I didn't know at the taping. So I would make sure to answer accurately. I would answer fairly if I didn't know it, and play along that. And I would say we probably would have won last year in the team's tournament. We probably would have won, I'd say at least like 6 or 7 of the matches in the team's tournament, like just against either side of the teams.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, Andres says it there.
There you go.
Nice.
All right. Question from Garth. Would you ever do promos for pay for players in the fan leagues?
I think so. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I'm pretty slammed these days as far as like work goes with the Schmoedown, especially now. Like we have the Star Wars tournament coming up. We have the Inner Geekdom tournament coming up. There's a lot on my plate. But I have helped out with a couple of the fan league promos in the past, just like as far as advice, like giving them tips on what they could do and how they could structure it. I helped out a little bit with the family face-off match that they did with the two teams of little girls that they had like back a couple years ago or last year.
Yes.
So cute.
So the stuff like that, I think I would be happy to help out. I wouldn't want to promise anything like ahead of time because again, I'm super busy and it's hard to gauge out like what I can dedicate my time to that isn't already on like a fit schedule these days.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's kind of like I want to say flat out no to it. I'll be eager to talk about it.
All right.
Very cool. All right.
We might try to pay you from Call to Action or something.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right before like the award period, just to make us look really good.
Or for
We need all that help.
yeah, for sure. Yes.
All right. I believe that is all the questions that I have seen that are on the screen, at least at the moment.
Yeah.
So thanks for those. Those are amazing, guys.
I do see one from Sean that in addition to the Avatar one, which is like he asked me if I had seen Dragon Prince on Netflix.
Oh, I do see that.
Yeah, and I did see Dragon Prince. I saw the first season and I enjoyed it because it's from the same creators, some of the same creators as Avatar. And I wasn't fully taken with the animation. I know they tried to do the kind of like stuttery, like 2D/3D style of it, and it was a bit off-putting. It didn't wasn't deal breaker for me, but I do think they had some improvement there that they could do for the second season. However, what really got me was the story. I felt was like really short in the first season, and it kind of left off on a point where I wasn't like fully invested in like what happened next. It felt like it ended on kind of like an episode where like you would expect to see it next week, not next year. And so I just kind of forgot about it after going to the second season. I heard it did improve a lot though, and I heard it's really great and has a lot of the same actors from Avatar, which I do enjoy. But yeah, I think maybe someday I might give it a second shot to go back into it, even though I still haven't seen the final season of Clone Wars that just aired. Unfortunately,
I definitely caught up on it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I've been so busy lately with everything going on, so I haven't watched a single episode. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about it, so I do want to binge watch it one of these days.
Yeah,
I hope they actually put the last 4. If that actually would be better than a lot of the Star Wars. Like if I had to rank that as far as my Star Wars movies, it would definitely be in the top 5 of the Star Wars movies of all time. That how good the last 4 episodes are.
that's a big thing coming from Paul.
Big praise.
I just recently got into The Last Airbender and the Fire Prince. I can't remember his name at the moment, but like the actor who voices him is like fucking Rufio from Hook.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I love that, and there are a lot of really cool voice actors that are involved in Avatar. So I genuinely love that. There is a question.
Yep, I see some questions popping up.
Yeah, so definitely that's the one.
Yeah. What is your The Thing film? The one film that people telling you to watch.
Like Christian
People
Harloff
keep telling
is.
me to watch. People keep telling me to watch that I have not seen. I just like keep thinking of reasons not to watch. I'm trying to think.
I think of mine too.
I think Apocalypse Now. I never seen Apocalypse Now. It's like a classic
Ooh.
war film. You know, I know it's good.
And a book.
Yeah, and a book. Yeah, I just never had. I missed it. You know, growing up, and I just never had the chance to like sit down and just watch it for any like specific reason. Like, who wants to rewatch Apocalypse Now? Like
Right.
in my circle of friends, you know.
Yeah, it's not those one of those. There's always movies like that. You're just like you watch them once and then you don't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Even if it's really good, you're kind of like I can't do that again.
Yeah.
Because Apocalypse Now is definitely a movie, man, that takes a lot out of you when you watch it.
Yeah.
And it's a hard second watch. Like I can't imagine anyone who watches Apocalypse Now that has like seen it over and over again. But at the same time, like I'm a fan of Full Metal Jacket. Like Full Metal Jacket is a movie that I can watch over and over again. And it's only because of my love for Stanley Kubrick. So war movies like that, I do feel like they're hard to watch.
And we
Very
do have a super chat from Oscar. Speaking of the Houston Live event anniversary, would you rather take a shot or give someone a chair shot? And why is it Jake?
Damn it.
Can I?
No, let Eric answer first.
Yeah. No, I would never. I could never give Jake a chair shot. I can never do that to Jake.
Well, I would say
There's enough other people that would. So
on his
it's
behalf,
Houston-
I'd take it. I'd have to take it on his behalf. Yeah.
and Houston, he pretty much got a chair shot, didn't he? I mean, it was almost a chair shot. It was just a punch in the mouth, but he did take a good shot.
Get a bunch of that.
Houston!
The
Congratulations.
chair being a fist.
1 year for Houston, the Houston live event. Probably the best live event for anyone inside of the Action Army. Man, I'm so sorry, Jake, that you had to leave with a bloody shirt after that whole event.
All right.
Oh,
And then I do see, I believe, one more question.
Okay.
What other anime series are a must watch for new viewers like Danielle?
and me.
That's a good one.
And me too, really.
Yeah. So like the thing about Avatar is like a quote unquote American anime. So it's not like a traditional Japanese anime. So it has like an American style of animation, and also has like, even though it's based in Eastern philosophy and Eastern martial arts, it is like still an American based show in the way it's presented. And the thing is, like, for actual like traditional anime from Japan, like there's a lot of like idiosyncrasies that you have to get used to, like the humor and the kind of like timing in it, and like the aesthetic of like the way like material and like jokes are presented. There's like a bit of an acquired taste to it, I would say. However, I do think a good gateway anime that a lot of people have used to get into lately is Attack on Titan.
Ooh.
And yeah, Attack on Titan is like it is, I think, the like Game of Thrones of anime, because anime, like it's like a trope, it's like a joke in anime where like you'll have very serious moments and they're cut by like random humor. Like they'll have like a like weird like
I'm
anime
sorry, I
joke.
laugh so much at this moment. I'm just laughing at Paul and Kelsey because you said the right words. You said Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then I just saw Danny's face light up, like.
So, please continue with your Attack on Titan discussion. So please continue though with your Attack on Titan.
But yeah, I mean, it's essentially like, so like anime, like, usually you'll have like a serious moment in anime where like someone's like dying, or like they're like telling something like really horrible, and then they'll have like a character come out and just like a really dumb joke or like a really silly joke. Like the animation changes, they're doing like a like cute anime thing for a second, and then just to kind of bring some levity to the moment, but it's kind of undercuts like the tension of it. Attack on Titan doesn't really have any of those moments. It really doesn't have any moments of like levity or like hard humor like that, like, or abrupt humor. The show is like very dark. It's very serious, and it is mystery based. So it is like the general premise is that it takes place in a world where humans live behind like these walls, like these big walls. Humanity lives inside these giant walls, and outside of those walls are giant like monster people that will eat them if they come in contact with them. And that's kind of like the crux of the story. I'm not going to give anything else away. But it's like really hardcore like horror like show where like there's like a lot of like like death and like stakes to it, like characters do die like left and right. There's like really great characterization, like there's a huge like slew of characters that you get to know, and also again, it is mystery based, so there's a mystery to the show as to like what's really going on with the world and like how did we get here, and like there's like with characters stuff like that you build out. And one thing, if you guys do get into it, you have a benefit is that you have 3 or 4 seasons to binge now because it's been out, whereas they finished season 1 and then they took like a 5-year hiatus to get to season 2.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And
Okay, so
That's painful.
like the world of A Song of Ice and Fire.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it was really hard for fans of the show to like get back invested because they were like pulling their hair out waiting for the second season. And so it finally came. Season 2 is done. Season 3 is done. They're getting season 4, I think, is done, halfway done. And so yeah, there's a lot to. If you guys can binge watch now, you'll get the investment, also some resolution. If you binge watch it now, you have a lot to work with. But that is a good anime. I would highly recommend that anime to you if you're not familiar with anime in general.
Sounds good. I'm interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh.
I like that.
Yeah.
I know my son loves Attack on Titan, so I would definitely want to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. I think that's what we have for chat questions.
That's it.
That might be it.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you guys something though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because I always would like to love to ask this because we're talking about the quizzes and stuff. I would like to ask the 3 of you: are there any movies you would like to see a quiz for? Like movie that you just like hold dear to your heart from like your childhood, or like you just like you watch like as a comfort movie, like the back of your hand. You watch it frequently because you just love it so much.
I have probably watched the movie Get Him to the Greek like 100 times. It's a weird movie, but I love that movie. I've seen it a lot.
Okay, I got to ixnay Star Wars. Any Star Wars question? I would love Star Wars, but beyond that, I have 2 I would think of. The Crow.
Oh wow.
Maybe 1.
Yeah.
And that's Jarvie, right? I just said he knew right away what I was going to do.
Why do you keep asking about The Crow?
That's exactly. I am Chris Charlotte in that because I love The Crow. I watched it like 35 times during like when it came out in the theaters. Was this running bit for me? That or because I have to throw a Ed Harris question, I'd have to go with The Rock for Ed Harris.
The Rock. Oh, The Rock would be good. That'd be great.
That'd be a fun one. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think if there was one specific movie, 2 movies come to mind for me, and it's Coco, obviously. I would love to see more questions about Coco and The Land Before Time. The Land Before Time was a movie franchise that I genuinely loved. I loved the first movie. I understand if there are not going to be questions about the other 2, 3, 4. And Land
There's like 20 of them now. The first one's a classic.
But
that would have been cool.
Before Time, I think, would be a great movie that would be in there, and specifically questions about Sarah. But that's not just me.
Yeah.
I just did want to pop this up real quick. Where is it, Robert Adams? If you want it, baby, you got it. So.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, Robert Adams
in
the Rock match. Yeah, I would love to see that. I can make that happen for sure.
All right.
I watched The Rock recently because of Paul, and that bathroom scene is as epic as
the shower room sequence. Oh.
You're down there.
You walked the wrong goddamn room, Commander. Oh, God.
Yeah, like if you haven't seen The Rock, at least Google what's the proper term? I want to say the scene. That's not
shower
it.
Room scene
from The Rock. Please Google.
God, Ed Harris, such a hero. He's such a hero.
Oh my fucking God, y'all! Like that's an epic scene in movie history in general, I guess. But like. That was so good.
That's what I would say. Take the dream, gutting you, boy.
Yeah. What Dreams May Come is also a movie that I feel like there are questions of because that's one of my favorite Robin Williams movies. Cuba Gooding Jr., all of that good stuff. I think I've seen one What Dreams May Come question in the entire run of the Schmoedown.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. That's why I like doing these quizzes, you know, because like we there are just movies that people love that just won't naturally get asked about because they didn't have like wide releases or they didn't like have like huge acclaim, but they're fan favorite for some people. So I like doing those quizzes for certain people.
Yeah.
There you go. You're right. Yeah.
Seriously.
Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Fuck the prom queen.
Strong cut right there.
Yeah.
That was James Bond, right? That was basically James Bond.
This is what it was. Yeah.
It's just basically making sure that you put a lot of S's and H's inside of what you're saying.
Yeah. It's essentially, yeah. I mean, the fan theory is that he's basically he's supposed to be James Bond. Yeah.
Basically, it's the old James Bond. Basically, yeah, that's what it is. I love it. I actually watch that in my head. I love little theories like that that make it. I don't care if they make complete sense or not. I always buy into them and go, yeah, I'll go with it. Let's go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love that. Yeah. Let's see.
Well, Danielle.
Well, Paul. Well, Kelsey. Well, my dear friend Eric.
Yeah.
That seems like it is it for the call to action for a chill to action here tonight on this Monday morning. I'm sorry, Tuesday morning officially.
Now Tuesday morning. Yes.
That's totally what I meant for that. This cheap wine.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to say, I do want to say, yeah, thank you to everyone who was in the chat, like Sean and Jill and the Adams brothers and everyone else, Danny, Peggy, yeah, because I keep tabs on all these people because that was like how I got involved with this. Like I would just, you know, keep tabs on people who I liked, who I enjoyed seeing, and like find the network between everyone, like see how the web expanded between like the people that I enjoyed seeing, and that's why I liked the show itself, the Schmoedown, when I first found it, because it was like, as Emma Five described it, like the Super Smash Brothers of like movie trivia. It was just like all these favorite people that I know coming together, and so like I do love it now, like seeing everyone come together and seeing the names that are in the chat, and like it really means a lot to me seeing like these people that I know like hang around to listen to us talk.
Absolutely. Big shout out to everyone who was in the chat. There were a few names in there that who I hadn't seen before. So if this is your first time here, make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel, to this video, all of that good stuff. Eric, really quickly, plug your socials, anywhere we can find you, anything that you're doing. Let us know where you're at, my dude.
So you can find me, as it says right here, at Nerdchronic, at basically across all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, on YouTube as well, patreon.com/nerdchronic, and I do my video chronic quizzes with Video Drew Mondays and Thursday nights, which I always love and are very fun. And I, speaking of which,
I'm back.
speaking of which, I'm plugging all our stuff.
Plug it, Drew.
We usually would do a video chronic quiz tonight, but I'm doing this right now. Yeah, and so we probably do one on Thursday night.
Yeah, we'll do it Thursday.
Thursday nights, and other than that, I also we do our movie chronic commentary.
Oh my god, it's been so long.
So long with our buddy Andres, who's studying now, so might come over a little bit more, so we can probably do some more of those. Yeah. And on top of that, I'm also still working on it. I've had some life tribulations, the type of work issues to deal with, but I am working on doing a series on my Patreon where I do dissections and breakdowns of my edits for my promos, where I talk about the theory behind it. I go shot for shot, talking about the why I use this shot the way I did, how it flows into the next one, why the music, all that stuff. Basically, the entire breakdown of the whole thing. So I'm trying to put that together soon, so I could have that on my Patreon.
I'm just reading now. He's gone. This was an accident. You guys don't understand. He is gone. Well, he's here all day, but he's editing, and I can't bother him. And then this is the time that I'm allowed human interaction. The one part of the day, I'm allowed to interact with Eric.
Well, we're starting to
I wish that we could have figured out something a lot earlier for a conjoined birthday stream, because you guys
right. The same birthday.
Yes, absolutely. May 25th. Shout out to everyone. We will be here on Chill
Nice.
on Monday, May 25th. Maybe we can still kind of figure something out.
Let's talk about it.
I'll be in touch with you for that for sure. Kelsey, let us know where you're at, babe.
All right, you can find me at KelseyKens90 on Twitter and Instagram. I also have my own YouTube channel. So if you just search Kelsey Kirkland and click on my face, please subscribe. I haven't been doing as much on it lately because I'm kind of reevaluating what I want to do with the channel. So, but there will be posts, there'll be live streams. Ladies' Night will be on there occasionally. So please subscribe, trying to get to 100 subscribers. And I also run the Call to Action Podcast Instagram. So if you haven't followed that yet, please do.
Yeah, you know what? While we're here, Video Drew Grant, let us know where we can find you at.
Usually
Yeah,
here. Like usually it's weird that this is not my channel. I'm about to ask you where you guys can plug. Guys, apparently I made it to 1,000 subscribers.
Woo! All right.
Sure. I don't know if I can curse on this one. So I made it to 1,000. I was really sick last week, so I wasn't. I like had a fever and I just broke it. Literally just broke it today. So high five on that. Yeah.
Germs.
Yeah. So I made it to 1,000. So Video Drew across all social platforms here Mondays and the Thursdays for the our thing, and then Tuesdays, tomorrow nights, I'm gonna be hosting Cinema Bias like I normally do with Alex Mack, and we're reviewing Pulp Fiction, a movie she's never seen. A movie she's never seen.
I cannot wait.
That hurts me.
Alex's review on that. Okay,
I'll go. Alex. I love Alex. Alex hurts my soul. It hurts my soul with some of the misses she has and some of the reviews she has. But I love her anyway. So
her takes on movies are hot takes, but her takes on movies are some hot takes.
Hot takes.
Yeah,
So
but congrats to Alex for getting the co-hosting gig with now the Outlaw.
How crazy is that? Yeah. I'm sure that would happen to me if I was able to wake up early.
Video before we transition over, do you know the rest of your chart signs? Like, do you know your? I know you know your sun sign.
I'm a Video Drew rising and a Video Drew moon, so I think that's as far as I got. My parents did my charts. Come back here. My parents did my charts when I was born, and they were like, "Oh, she's gonna have a really good sense of humor, but be very dark." So that's like
we'll wait until after we come off this. Yeah. I would like to know your actual rising and your moon.
I don't know it. I can text my mom, but she's asleep.
You can text me any the information. I will figure that out for you.
Yeah. There's a big chart, and I just never learned.
I can do that for you. My favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio. Where can we find you at? Let us know what you got going on, Paul.
Paul_Denuzio on Twitter and also on Facebook. You can find me running the Team Action Patreon, the Action Industries Patreon, patreon.com/Team Action. I've got a lot of cool stuff happening. The general debate is happening on Thursday on Action Industries. It's a show I host where the generals of the Action Army debate something. This week it's going to be the best Tom Cruise movie. We have some cool selections there, and I think Alex Mack is going to be maybe making an appearance on that as well. We should have spoiled that, but that's all right. I will.
Yeah.
Also, you can find me on Class Action on the same channel, Action Industries YouTube channel. Me and Richard Eric Jarvie. We do a show weekly, basically putting up two opponents against each other, movies versus each other, franchise versus each other. I believe. I'll say here, we might change our mind, but we're going to do Harry Potter franchise, the Wizarding World versus the Middle Earth franchise.
Wow.
Breaking down those and see what we can do with that.
Well, there's an obvious answer there, and it is not open bullshit. Sorry, I credit for the person.
That's fine. The great thing about our show with that is actually sometimes a lot of times we'll go in with one definite answer, but the way we make up these categories, we try to make it so it's more even a little bit, so it ends up being more of an interesting debate that way. We'll have to see how it goes down, though. We haven't discussed the categories yet. We'll find out. And finally, before I go too long, I also opened my own YouTube channel called PLD Projects. I'm doing a walkthrough of the V franchise from the 1980s sci-fi show V, and I'm about to start imminently in the next week or two, maybe going through the Harris stunts. Of course, every film in the Ed Harris filmography. I will make you love Ed Harris. I will make you love Ed Harris as much as I do, if I have any chance at doing so. So that's
what I'll give a little Easter egg here, which is one time I asked Eric what the nicest comparison to a movie character he ever got was, because I always like being compared to like movie characters, whatever. And he said it was the time I compared him to Ed Harris in Truman Show, because I feel like that's his job. And,
that's awesome. That's very true. You are Christoph.
Yeah,
I love it. So.
I do. I love that. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in on this Monday. You know me. It's your girl, Danny Joy. You can find me on Twitter at DannyJoy, DANIEJOY. Also, subscribe to my channel where I will be doing Watch the Book and the Padawan Chronicles. All of that good stuff. A lot of other stuff going on that channel that will be up sometime this week, I promise. So we will get that in there absolutely 100% for everyone on the Call to Action channel, for everyone here tonight on Chill to Action. Thank you again so much for tuning in and hanging out with us on this Monday night. We will see you next week. Same channel, same time. Late to the party.
Late to the party, late to the chat, but we love you here anyway, as always.
Love you so much, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week again, y'all. And as always, we salute you.
I'm sorry before I say that word thing I got to bring up. Fuck you. I love you, but you can't possibly.
We'll see y'all next week, y'all. Bye.
Bye.